For those of you that don't know me, my name is Candy, and I'm an old Appalachian girl, so I may sound a little southern. I'm proud of that. I felt really compelled to get on here and just, I don't know, speak my truth, I guess. And that's hard. This is a hard moment to find our truth. You know, when you can't see the future and the past is not really a guidepost. We're kind of left in the present moment to do the best we can. Hello, squirrel. Sorry, I have a habit of talking to animals. But anyway, what I really want to say is, for those of you who do know me, you have known that in the last year, I launched my private practice. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I worked primarily with juveniles in the early part of my career, but then I transitioned to private practice and worked primarily with adults and families. And it was super rewarding to be in a position to have my own practice, help people. That is super meaningful to me. I've had a difficult life and have needed help at various points in my life. And so giving back in that way has been a goal of mine since I was little. And I'm proud of myself for what I've accomplished. But I also find myself grieving because the future that I had planned for myself is not gonna happen. And I have been going through a period of grief and learning. I'm definitely not here to give you answers or teach you anything. I'm a student at the moment, and just doing the best I can to sort of navigate this present moment, which is very challenging. When I was in graduate school for my master's, one of my favorite professors, the class was taught actually by two professors. It was a really awesome class. But we were given a scenario to think about and respond to. And we were told as future clinicians that a woman presents for therapy. She goes to her clinician, describes her experience. The clinician notes that the woman seems depressed, the woman seems anxious, possibly bordering on paranoia, clearly distraught, scared, and unsure of how to deal with her situation. So the therapist takes her into therapy. They work hard. They make a good connection. Everything is going along. She spends about 6 months in therapy, and the clinician, makes progress notes and says, hey, all these symptoms that you came in with have been reduced. There has been significant progress with the paranoia. That's gone away. You're managing the anxiety. You are working through the depression. You're not having as many low days. You're having better days. Not necessarily feeling optimistic, but not necessarily feeling low. Just sort of a more neutral place, which is a really nice place to be. It's a good place to start. So, we're given this scenario And we think, oh, well, see, therapy works. It's great. This is what we're all about. This is what we want to do. We want to be just like that guy and help that lady. And then the professor continued, and after we had had this great discussion about all the benefits of therapy and how 6 months is, pretty fast, but, average too, sometimes it takes people longer, sometimes it takes people shorter. You can do a lot of good stuff in 6 months. But you find out from this scenario that the woman in question was living in Germany in the late, 1930s, and she was Jewish. And then the professor asked the class, did the clinician help her? Whew, that stuck with me. It's so powerful to think about how her paranoia, her anxiety, her depression, taken out of context, sure, could be treatable. But in context, we have to consider the first do no harm. If you are treating someone who is a member of an oppressed class, someone who's in danger from their culture, someone who could be targeted for real harm by outside forces that they have no control over, you have essentially robbed that person of the instincts that were letting them know they weren't safe. If you take away their anxiety, you take away the depression, they don't have the discomfort of their reality that says, hey, something is not okay. So did you do more harm than good in that scenario? Man, for whatever reason, that particular experience in school, sorry for the air conditioner, I'm in a hot place in the country right now, even though it's only early March. So my apologies, but that stuck with me throughout my entire professional career, and it became a real lens through which I balanced what are the symptoms, what are the experiences that my clients were sharing with me, what's the context for those experiences, and are there benefits? Are these symptoms doing anything for them other than creating suffering? I find myself thinking about that scenario every day now. Just about. On the one hand, the part of me that wants to believe that the world as I knew it 2 years ago, 4 years ago, there's a part of me that wants to believe that's still possible. But I know deep inside of myself that it's not. The context of how we live has changed significantly, quickly. And I find myself in this really strange position where my next step forward my natural next step forward for myself. Launching this practice, working so hard to push through my medical condition so that I can go back to work. It requires so much alignment between my heart, my willpower, and my beliefs in order to pull that off. And I can't do it ethically. I don't know how all my colleagues are dealing with this particular moment in time in our country, but I can tell you that I can't provide services to people in a culture that wants to harm them if helping them robs them of their intuition towards safety and toward what's best for them. And this is a doctor heal thyself. I'm not a medical doctor, nor do I have a PhD. I'm a master's level person. But this is definitely a heal thyself moment, because I think part of my physical decline in my own body has been trying to maintain a sense of denial about where we are and what our future actually looks like, which now we just don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, and that's okay. That's okay. We never really know anyway. Anytime we try to predict the future, it's a bit of an illusion. So we just have to go with what is real and stick with that the best that we can. I don't feel like I can help people. One of the problems I've always had with my field is, as a systems therapist, I'm not a huge practitioner of the diagnostic model. I think that everything occurs in relationship to other things. So labeling one person as deficient or broken or maladaptive or not quite functional, I'm not sure that's not my style. So I've resisted doing that, and that's one of the reasons why systems therapy spoke to me. But as a systems therapist, this isn't right. The way we measure people's functionality and success and their mental well-being is often based on productivity, their ability to comply with social norms, their ability to manage their own personal emotional reactions in various settings so that they can be effective and meet their needs and get fed and pay their rent and all the things. That's how we sort of look at, is someone doing okay or not okay? And I'm not sure that you can really adequately do that in a fascist culture. If we're looking at how well people function in our system, how they comply, do they uphold the standards, norms, rules, those kinds of things that enable society to function? How do you measure that? And how can we push people to comply with the system that is harmful. How can we measure people's progress and success if we're also robbing them of the things that are keeping them safe? Because we're telling them that it's more important that they comply, it's more important that they function, it's more important that they allow the system to dictate to them what their life is going to be like. And that feels wrong to me. This all feels wrong. And it's no small thing. You're grieving. It's no small thing to give up on your career in a way that, could potentially hurt me or my family, because I won't be doing it that way. I won't have the income potential. But I also know that some things are just not okay. Some things are just not right. Hurting people. Taking more than your share. Manipulating people to be afraid. Telling your citizens that it's okay to destroy and hurt some people, as long as they're not the right people or the wrong people, whoever gets to decide that in this culture. Right now, I don't have a lot of faith in the people who are making those decisions on both sides. And I get it, I work with this stuff with families, and a government, a city, a community is just a upscaled version of a family. And the thing that I see that happens in families, that I see happening now in this moment, is that while our discomfort to the reality of our situation may be rising, there are those parts of us, just like that live in me, that want to pretend like we know how to navigate this, like we know how to deal with this, because it makes us feel safe, makes us, that illusion of control can be very tempting. But when the state that issues my license also passes bills to legally discriminate, not recognize gay marriage, make it okay to turn people away, make it okay to just say, we don't like what you do, we don't like how you live or who you love or how you dress or express yourself, so we're going to target you for cruelty. That's not a world I want to live in. I mean, that's not a society I want to live in. I know we live in that world to some degree, but we don't have to. Families can get stuck doing the same thing over and over, like a loop, a pattern. And that loop and pattern becomes so comfortable that doing anything outside of that feels terrifying. Feels like reality is going to be lost. But the truth is, that is a beautiful moment for families, for communities, for countries. Because that's the moment when we recognize that we don't want to acknowledge the truth, that we get a choice. We not only get to choose whether or not we're going to be in denial, but we also get to choose if we're going to just keep doing it the same damn way. And I think that my MAGA brothers and sisters, as well as my lefty tree hugger brothers and sisters, because I have friends and loved ones in all categories, I think that we agree more than we disagree. And I think that our dear MAGA brothers and sisters have done us a great service in many ways, because they have spoken their truth about their discomfort, about their pain, the things they don't like, the things that make them feel unsafe and uncomfortable. And it's okay for them to express that. It is. Because then we can try to meet that with some understanding. Now, that's the hard part. In order to understand people, you have to be able to see yourself in them. And I would challenge my lefty brothers and sisters, my progressive family, the humanists that I adore. I want you to look and make sure that the self-righteousness you're carrying around is warranted. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I was devastated when President Trump was reelected, especially after the assault on the Capitol. That was so abhorrent to my way of experiencing America. And I was pretty crushed. I felt abandoned by my countrymen. I was confused. But the more I sat with that grief, and the more I looked at myself and did the real self work, the more grateful I became for this moment. Because this is a breakthrough moment for us, America. It is. It's scary as shit. And it's not gonna be pretty. It's gonna be messy. And it's okay. We can handle messy. What we can't handle is denial. Denial keeps us trapped in patterns and loops that don't serve us. They're not for our highest good. And people all across America have been feeling it. I don't care if you're a hippie or you're a Bible thumping, Southern Baptist. It doesn't matter. You've been feeling the squeeze. You're tired. It's too fast. Too much information. Not enough human connection. We are supplementing human connection with social media, which is a horrible idea. I strongly recommend people don't go to social media unless you go there to bring joy. We don't need to feed the collective negativity at the moment. We need to dream. We need to imagine. We need to focus on the possibilities of what we can create in this moment that will be better than what we have now. The old world, it's not coming back. It's over. Who we were as America yesterday is not who we are going to be as America tomorrow. So, this is our time. Every generation gets its time. But I think this is going to take several generations working together to get through this moment. And we don't do that through division. we do it through love. Because at the end of the day, whether you go to bed on the right or you go to bed on the left, what really matters is your ability to feed yourself and your family, have dignified shelter, which not enough people do, to be of help and comfort and joy for each other. When I meet individuals, whether they're on the right or left, I see myself in them, just like them. So many of the same worries, so many of the same values, you know? We are so much more than who we have allowed ourselves to be so far. So on the one hand, my life is falling apart. So is yours. Different ways, probably. But I also know that every ending is the dawn of a new beginning. And I heard a quote recently that I thought was really powerful. That, and I can't remember who said it or who it's attributed to, so forgive me. But the message was, life is less about what we want and often more about what we allow. And I think that's true. We all try to get what we want, but in that process, we also allow a lot of what we don't want. You know, if you've ever been in a codependent relationship, you know that you've allowed some things that are not for your highest good. We tolerate things that we shouldn't, like fascist regimes. We tolerate manipulation. We tolerate disparity. And often, I think what's connected is when we're constantly focused on, what we don't want, what's not okay, then we are in a much, much more vulnerable position to allow a lot of really shitty things. And I kind of think that that's where we're at. And I feel like this is a not in my name moment, you know? What kind of credibility do I feel being issued a license to do my job by a state that wants to hurt people that I want to help? I'm sanctioned by a misguided legislature. And while I very much want to maintain my professional status as a member of the American Association for Marriage and Family Therapists, because I believe in that organization, I don't think I can accept sanction by my state. I can't get on board with all of that. Nor would I measure my patient's progress based on their ability to comply and conform to a system like that? So I think for me it feels like to me it feels like I don't want a license from a state like that. I don't want to help people conform, adapt, soothe themselves, remove their discomfort from a system that wants to harm them. That's unethical. So I guess when my future self does go back and maybe watch this is, years from now, I'll know whether or not it was a good decision to give up my practice. My body's not been letting me do my work anyway, and I think it's because I cannot get my heart around this. I just can't. And I'm really sad. Because I don't know what I'm going to do. And I've left my job. And I want to help. I want to help people through this moment. But I'm not going to support a system that would harm the people I want to help. I mean, that's insanity. And I should know. It's tough. These are tough decisions. And everybody has to make their own. I'm supported by life. I've had a wonderful husband who's helped me through this. But I don't see a way forward doing it the same way. So, if you are a former client of mine, maybe this will give you some insight into why I've not been available to accept new clients. If you're friends of mine, maybe this will give you some insight into why I've been sort of hermiting as I go through this experience. It's hard, to go from within the span of 1 year to trying to promote my business to saying no to traditional clinical approach. I'm gonna find a way, because I'm a waymaker. I'm from a long line of waymakers. And we all are waymakers for each other. You can make a way for me, and I can make a way for you. And we get to make it the hell up, because that's what the generations before us did. They made up a way of being that worked for them. It worked so well, in fact, that we've just been perpetuating it without a lot of questions, without a lot of will to do it differently. And while November 2024, I was devastated, I now feel, in a really strange way, grateful. I'm very grateful that Mr. Trump, I'm sorry, I can't use the president word, but Mr. Trump, I'm grateful that he stretched those boxes that we put people in, that we say, this is what a president looks like, this is what a congressman looks like, this is what a businessman looks like. These are the boxes that they fit into. He stretched that box beyond all comprehension to so far outside what is acceptable that he has freed us from the old way. He blew it the hell up. And maybe that's what we needed. I don't agree with the policies. And I don't necessarily think that Mr. Trump is a good man. I think he's a hurt man. People don't act like that unless they've been really hurt. We know that, you know. We don't get people in office who want to hurt people unless we have really gotten distracted, gotten confused, felt powerless. We all feel powerless. And so rather than accept this idea of powerlessness that this current regime wants to feed us and the world and the markets and our cousins, neighbors, we have a choice. We get to make it up. We get to decide. We are the people with the power because we are the people. I don't like it. And I'm scared of the future. But I'm also hopeful. Because I was actually born in the 70s. I was raised on a steady, yes, white-centric, heterocentric diet of Little House on the Prairie, the Waltons, the Jeffersons, JJ, Dynamite. I used to say that all the time. I wanted to be like that. I loved that family. I grew up on Electric Company, Sesame Street. And I'm, I guess, a little naive and embarrassed to say that I really fucking thought we all wanted to buy the world a Coke. I bought it. Totally swallowed it. I really thought that's who we were trying to be. Was the Sesame Street family. Was the Waltons. The Jeffersons. Good times. Fat Albert. I drank that Kool-Aid, and it was really yummy. And I miss it. And it hurts to see how far we're off track. back from that. But I know that my 11th great grandmother, who was a Quaker, came here out of Rotterdam to try something new. America has always been willing to try something new, to get out of our loops, to be innovators, and to bring us together. Not in a melting pot where everybody dissolves into one American box. No, it's more like a gumbo or a stew, really good chili. It takes all of those things, moving around, saturating each other, giving off a little bit of their energy, giving off a little bit of this vibe, that vibe, in order to make a really delicious meal. That's America. Remember? Remember who we were? I do. And while we may never go back, I'll never be that girl that believed all those things before. I've grown and I've learned, but I'm not giving up hope, because cruelty is not sustainable. Cruelty cannot last. Humans reject cruelty over time because it sucks for everybody. Whether you're the person, it really sucks for the person being victimized. But nobody's watching that shit go down and not being affected. So if you think that you can watch our brothers and sisters get hauled off to detention centers or shot down in the street and not be affected, that we can just go on as normal, take it from this therapist. We're in denial. And it's hard to come out of that, because it's not pretty, it's not the reality we want, but it's the reality we have. And I believe in the goodness of people. I do. Excuse me. I'm ending my clinical practice until we have a country and I live in a state that's worthy of that. That doesn't mean I'm abandoning everybody. I'm very interested in offering support groups, anything really that I can do. Art therapy. I really think that expression is where it's at, and also, acknowledging that you're just like me. Donald Trump's not that different than me. I've been a toddler in my life. I've demanded things that I had no right to have. I've been unmovable, obnoxious, greedy, thoughtless, insulting, dumb. Not that different. And I'm sure that in some context, Donald Trump experiences love. Maybe not. I've never met a person, though, even working in prisons, with some of the most violent offenders. I've never met a person who didn't want to experience love. And I believe that, just like I saw in the juvenile offender population, Donald Trump's acting out. He doesn't have real good coping skills. And he doesn't have the kind of truth-telling, loving support that he needs. And I'm sorry for him. And I wish him well. But I don't wish him to be our country's leader. He hasn't earned that right. And in my opinion, his actions forfeit it. So, 11 generations of my family have called America home. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to go. You can't run away from this. We have to deal with it. And the way we do that is we tell ourselves the truth. We tell ourselves the truth. The system's not working for everybody the way we want it to. People are not okay. We have to do something differently. And we have to be brave. And we have to speak up. And sometimes we have to make sacrifices that are really hard. But some things are way fucking more important than what I want, personally. So, I don't have the answers. But I do have hope and love and compassion for everybody going through it, because it sucks. So hang in there. The one thing every good therapist will tell you is the only constant is change. Hold life lightly so you can allow it to move and be what it is. When we hold too tight, that's when we get in trouble. I want to buy the world a Coke. Not necessarily Coke, but, you know. I want those ideals. And if America has decided those are not our ideals, and we don't have the will to make political change, sorry about the leaf blower, then but I'll be real curious to find out what we do. And I'll be here if anybody wants to join me.